Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on April 26, 2025 at approximately 9:01 p.m. PST. Now, I've made it my life's journey to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the life I talk about are the same philosophies I use to guide virtually every decision I make. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. Now, before we get into it, I do want to tip my hat to Storm. He is our primary moderator in the background. He keeps technology running, and Lord knows how he managed to do it yesterday. Okay, my energy literally took out every functional electronic article in my house, wiped out the electrical in my bedroom, and in half the laundry room, which do happen to be at the same end of the house. But no circuits were broken, except the retention of the wires, I'm guessing. Hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes after it ended, after the show ended, everything came back online. Now, how Storm kept it running, you get to figure that one out. Okay. Now, that would be first and foremost. He is also here to make sure problem children don't remain problem children. If you have been a problem in the past, and you're behaving yourself, welcome to come and participate. If not, don't ask me how Storm does it, but he will know if you're a problem child from before. That said, today we are looking at society, evolution versus stagnation. Now, we have Operation Shutdown is in the house with the gold. How you doing, Operation? You know, the neat part about it, as you well know, me and technology have argued left, right, and center. But here's the kicker. Technology is part of our life. It is part of where society is going. But we've got to make a decision. Are we going to work with it, or are we going to let it replace our own drive and our own abilities? Now, I do not expect any of you, myself included, to figure out how to make a computer work. Okay, there are games out there that are way more individual than I ever had growing up. But what I have found is this. This is a solar powered calculator bought in the 1970s. Okay, so we're talking bought 50 years ago. It's still running today. Now, the computers built today fall apart left, right, and center. What we've got to realize is society has got to start working together. You got to quit putting people on pedestals. Okay, if you don't, and you let everybody else decide how your life is going to evolve, what happens is you stop learning. And the moment you stop learning, your life starts to stagnate. Okay, it doesn't change. You're the one that's got to do something with it. Now, we can continue blaming the churches, the business moguls, the governments, anybody under the sun. I mean, I grew up in the military. I know how to play pass the buck. Okay, but if we do not start getting back to some of the basics, back to before, and I don't mean forget about technology. I mean remind yourself or find somebody that can help you remember how to do such simple things as cook for yourself, as tidy up after yourself, as plan for the future. Plan for what you desire to happen. Operation is asking, Keith, have you always had that effect on electronics in your home, or is that a new development? Oh no, that's been a lifelong annoyance. Okay. Just to be simple, A couple of simple issues. Years ago, I had an altercation with the bank. They accused me of being the cause of pulling money out of my account that went to pay for a bill from another one of my accounts. They said it was all my fault. They wouldn't take no for an answer. I got agitated and fried their entire main floor with witnesses, by the way. Going through customs, going to security at the airport, I wasn't even going through customs. And I shut down, because I don't travel well, I shut down the customs wing at the airport. Okay, now this has been going on all my life. Okay, so this is just an ongoing thing. I'm just no longer arguing the point. Now, this is why I say technology and I don't get along. It's because I don't comprehend it, and every time I get agitated, energy screws it up. Okay, and we've got way too many witnesses to verify that. But this does not mean I'm against people using computers. I'm just against the idea that a computer is a good replacement for people. Okay, this is why I refuse. And I strongly suggest that people, I encourage people to walk away from the automated grocers, your automated cashiers. Now, yes, I realize with banks, it's all automated, and eventually it's going to go all automated. Thing is this, when we start replacing people with machines, what happens when the machines scramble? Okay, now, I fry the poor things. A friend of mine is invisible to them. Okay, now, if we've got technology that is doing everything for us and we forget how to do it ourselves, we are in serious trouble and society will stagnate. Now, picture what happens. Okay, picture what happens if we don't start getting some of this information trained. Okay, and reintroduced to society. What happens if the computer systems collapse? Okay, all of a sudden we don't know how to do a lot of things, not the least of which is smelting metal from stone from scratch. Okay, this is something that I think has been lost to the ages. And I'm not suggesting we go back to that. Okay, I'm just telling you, if we don't start reintroducing some of the old methods, we're going to be in serious trouble. Now, there are a lot of people around you that may know how to cope with it. I know the world collapses. I got no problem. I'm heading for my closest friend. He grew up in the woods. Okay, but if you don't know how to do something, it's time to remind yourself, unless you're planning on your life coming to a grinding halt. And by the way, no, I am not talking about the world ending. Although on its current path, that's a pretty good bet. Okay, so the thing you've got to ask is, are you going to keep backing up people that are finding new and exciting ways to separate you into smaller groups? Okay, I take a look at people and go, okay, you all have certain things in mind. All humans, whatever color, whatever gender you are, and bear in mind, I know this is going to tick somebody off, take a look at genetic fact. Okay, I don't mean what you feel like, what you relate to. Okay, I really don't care what you relate to. The fact is, when you look at physical genetics, that's where you start looking at gender. Okay, how you feel doesn't matter. How happy you are, how depressed you are, money doesn't care. It's going to do the same dang thing. Okay, and this is what we've got to start looking at. Well, we don't have to. You can leave the world going the way it is. Okay, take a look at the religious side of things. It is fracturing at a staggering level. Okay, now we keep finding new and exciting ways to isolate ourselves, all of a sudden we have over 8 billion religions, over 8 billion genders, over 8 billion orientations. Okay, this is the world you're aiming at. Okay, and now most of you that I'm talking to right now are not that way. But I'm warning you that if we continue on this path, instead of society evolving and us getting off this planet and starting to explore the world and the outer worlds at large, we're going to end up stagnating this society. Okay. Now, I don't know about you. I'm not really fond of being out in nature. I get lost too easy. But I will tell you, there is coming a point where that's going to be a problem. And this is exactly why I have decided I'm not putting this to an end. Some of you are wondering what happened to buy me to a day in the office. Well, my impact on electronics is what happened to a day in the office. Okay, but I am working things through on that. Now, what I really have to ask, well, I don't have to, but what I am going to ask you is when you look and take yourself out of the equation for a minute, look at the way society is going. Look at the amount of conflict, the amount of war, the amount of dissidence that is going on right now, and ask yourself, is this the kind of world you desire to follow the so-called leaders into? I mean, to me, I'm watching this going, we got a bunch of lemmings following some suicidal leaders. Okay, now at least lemmings have the viable reason that their food supply goes sour every 4 years. Net result, they all go run off the cliff. This is what society is doing. Now we got a choice. We either reclaim control of society one household at a time. In other words, you grab hold of control of your house, I'll grab control of mine. Okay, we get enough little pockets of life changing that way, it will carry over, it will affect or infect, however you want to put it, the rest of society. But only if we start taking responsibility for our own actions. One of the hardest things to really do for most people, myself included, by the way, it was a challenge and a half, is to look into the mirror and go, that's my doing. Okay. And I've had to really take a step back and go, what am I doing wrong? Why am I letting this happen? Lots of excuses for it, guys. I'm sure you guys have made some of those excuses for yourself. Well, I didn't say anything because I didn't want to hurt somebody's feelings. Great idea. Think about that. I know there's a hole in the floor over there. I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to hurt your feelings. You know, that's a terrible question. Operations asking, Keith, do you feel society in general is in worse shape now than societies in your past lifetimes? Well, I will tell you, I remember Sodom and Gomorrah, and that was not a good time. Okay, I remember the Black Plague. Okay, living through it. So, no, society is not in as bad a shape, but I will tell you, with the knowledge that today's society has, it is choosing, and I'm going to put this, I don't know of a nice way to put this. So let's put this in perspective. To me, true ignorance is you don't know better and you're doing it. Okay. Now, past societies I grew up in, okay, that I lived in, had what I called true ignorance. They literally did not know any better. Okay. In today's world, understand, stupidity to me means you know better and you do it anyway. Okay, so is today's society in worse shape? No, but it is voluntarily being stupider. Okay, people know this is insane. Okay, and what I mean by that is repeatedly doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome is essentially insanity. Now, yesterday, I had two pedestrians walk off the sidewalk in front of my car. Okay, now this is just dense. You know, cars are out there. Okay, this is in Kelowna, BC, so it's not a backwoods country. Okay, you know, cars are out there. Watch where you're going, because I'll tell you the axiom, what you can't see can't hurt you, will not hold up in a court of reality. A car you don't see coming is going to screw up your circulation. Okay, but in order to start dealing with that, you've got to start paying attention to your own responsibility. Now, we have the capacity to turn around and actually change the direction society is going in. Now, there are some things I'm not going to touch on here, but you will find in my free magazine, okay, in Positive Perspectives. I am starting to lay out the type of people that I support, that I believe in, okay, such as what spiritual guidelines I believe, what political venues I believe in, what makes a qualified CEO, this sort of thing. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because of one little factor. We're not reaching enough people. Okay. We've got billions of people listening to somebody stand there and tell you the world's going to collapse. We're all doomed. We're all going to hell. Okay. Now, I will tell you, if you all go to hell, and I forget what city it's in, but there is a city in the southeastern states, I believe, called hell. Now, if all 8 billion people go to hell, they're going to have a population explosion that's insane. But if we keep going down the road we're on, society is going to stagnate. People are going to forget because they're not being taught how to communicate, how to be honest, and how to be helpful. You're not being taught it. Now, I do not blame your teachers. Okay, don't blame your parents, because to be frank, they were not taught the same thing. And what's happening now is people are being told, don't say anything, because if you're going to hurt somebody's feeling, don't say anything. My mom phrased it really well years ago. My older brother broke away from her and ran between two cars. My mom caught my brother, and my brother was only about 5 years old at the time. My mom, and we're talking about back in the early 60s, caught my brother by the arm, spanked him, like set him back on the sidewalk, gave him a quick swat across the backside, open hand, pants up. An adult back then, told mom, you can't spank your kid like that. That's abusive. My mom looks at him and goes, he's going to remember that spanking a whole lot longer than getting run over. Okay, society has taken this to an extreme. Okay, and this is what we've got to turn around, because we are knowingly walking into an absolute disaster. Okay, now many of you will say, well, I didn't know better, or I love this one, it'll never happen to me. This is not something that's good to bank on. Okay, it really isn't. But if we leave society doing what it is doing, if we leave it to the leaders, your leaders, religious, political, business, okay, your counselors, virtually all of them are leading you down the same road. Okay, don't say anything that's going to upset somebody. Let's put a new label on it because you're not thinking normally. Well, bad news, guys. What's normal? Okay, I had to come to a very definitive decision yesterday. and my boys and I have both discussed it quite emphatically. It is not normal, as in the majority of people don't have this much of an effect on electronics. I do. Okay, what you guys aren't aware of is you've got the same effect. Now, what would you do if I told you it is normal to be able to control that and thereby make electronics work properly? I know it's possible. What I don't know is how to control my own. Okay, but we have to realize if we leave society to evolve the way it is, or in my opinion, devolve, what you're looking at is the society you know is going to collapse. It already has, by the way. You're just not entirely aware of it yet. Okay, so it's going to stabilize on downhill slide. Now, if you're on a toboggan run, this is good. If you're on a financial run, if your bank account is constantly sliding, this is not what I call a good thing. Okay, so you can either adjust things and do what nature does and find ways to correct things. Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You are actually in with the silver. You know, I mean, I'm looking at this and I question it a lot, the way that things are going. You know, because we're sitting in very small numbers and numbers don't mean much. I know we've got 60, 70 people per video watching them after the fact, which is great. Okay. But we've got to do better. Okay. We've got to start building something that people look to and say, how do we deal with this? How do we make it work more efficiently? Because I'm telling you, when you take a look at the spiritual guides that are out there, okay, almost every one of the mainstreams are going, we're better than you are because we believe in a different set of words. This does not add up to intelligence in my eyes. You know, people talk about artificial intelligence. Okay, artificial intelligence. Look at that for half a moment. All artificial intelligence is a computer using logic and no feeling. Now, extrapolate from that what's going to happen if society keeps letting computers make all the decisions. They will not develop feelings, and if they do, you're really in trouble. Okay, I know of a race that is like that is robotic in nature, and does have feelings, and not a happy group to deal with. But I'm going to ask you a real blunt question. Okay, what makes you better than other people you know? I myself am not better than anybody. I mean, I'm barely qualified to be me. Okay, but when you start looking at yourself and demanding better treatment, what makes you better than the next person? Okay, remember, karmic law is simple. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And energy out, energy in. All three of these are equally important. All three of them, if you do not keep them balanced, are going to cause an imbalance in your life. You don't have to believe me. You really don't. Okay? I'm just telling you what I've seen. And with well over 100,000 clients, and that's actual clients calling me for guidance. Okay? Well over 100,000 of them, and Lord knows how many people I've talked to. I wouldn't even begin to guess. Okay? But I'm telling you, the research, and that essentially it boils down to quantification. Okay? That I've seen says society is walking down an absolute disaster. Okay, I was literally told, where am I, 60, 40 years ago, okay, that I should start a religion to get across to people. And you know, I thought about it, but mainstream religion has literally turned around and said, no, it's got to be our religion or it doesn't count. Okay, because I'm better than you are. I'm telling you, given what I've seen, I have yet to find one religion, one spiritual path better than the next. And this is something, if you're getting the positive perspectives in the free magazine, okay, in the next couple of months, I'm working on June, so it'll be July's. The first of those articles will come out. May is already set, as a matter of fact, come to think of it, May goes out in 3 days. Wait a minute. I think I'm behind schedule. I'm just checking my calendar here. Where are we here? Yeah, it should have gone out. Oh well, I'll deal with it tomorrow. I was planning on having it out by the last Friday of the month. Apparently, things got really scrambled yesterday, so I will have to deal with that tomorrow. Okay, for the May edition. Now, here's the because it's already ready to go. Now, when we look at stagnation means you change nothing about the way your life is going. That doesn't work. Because I'm telling you right now, the moment you draw a breath, your life changes. And I mean, you wake up in the morning, you go, I took a breath. Your life is now different than it used to be. Okay? This is a question of deciding, are you going to continue doing the same thing you've been doing over and over and over again? If you do that, you got it. Your life stagnates. I'm done with my life stagnating. Okay, I'm completely done with it. This is why in 3 days I sat down and wrote "Believe in Your Success and Follow Your Dreams." It has now been completely written. I literally have to just read through it one final time to double check, and then turn around and do full edit with my editor fiance's executive assistant with full editing, and it goes to print. Okay, the reason I'm doing that is because frankly I had to get it through my head. If I keep doing things the way I'm doing them, nothing is going to change. Now, are you that content with your life that you're ready to let your life stagnate and do nothing and let your kids follow the same path? Okay, because they learn by watching. Not only you, but society in general. This is just the reality of it. But I've decided while I'm writing positive perspectives and putting this show on, okay, I'm going to start opening the door and going, this is the way I'm looking at the world. Now, I've tried being nice about it. I've tried being encouraging. The fact of the matter is, it's not getting through to enough people. And the people in charge are ignoring what has to be changed. The question is, and I know from a number of you, I've had contact with many of you that have said, look, the tools you're giving me are working, and here's the changes that have happened. This is fantastic. Okay, the sad part is there are billions of people out there going, let's keep doing stupid things. Let's keep driving without looking where we're going, or walking without looking where we're going. And for pity's sakes, don't tell anybody they're doing something stupid, because frankly, you might hurt their feelings. By the way, you might also save their life. Now, in fairness, this may not matter that much. Maybe you're one of these people that goes, well, if a few more people die, so be it. There's a lot of ways of looking at it, a lot of reasons not to make changes. Number one, It's way easier to just keep doing things the way you are and not bother learning. Okay? It's way easier to put your feet up and go, I'm just going to wait for somebody else to clean my mess up. Bad news, guys. Aliens aren't going to come down and collect everything up. God's not coming here to fix the mess. He gave you free will and free choice. He did not give you freedom from consequence. The politicians clearly are not going to be honest with you. Okay, not on the whole. Now, I shouldn't say that. On the whole, they will. But you got to realize something. In my experience, every living entity is a politician. Every one of you. Okay, I know that sounds like a terrible insult, but nonetheless, you all negotiate things in your own favor. Okay, you all lay down rules in your own household or in your own business. But we got to realize the people that we're putting in control positions, these are the people that are bending things to their will. It's got nothing to do with your benefit. Okay. And when you listen, when you actually listen, which is something we're taught not to do. Okay. Hey, I got an idea. Let's put a new game out so you can get lost in a video game and just watch all kinds of blinking lights. And then here's a neat idea. I'm going to put a new, what we call a skin out. It looks a little different. It's pixels, people. Pixels. It's still in the same box. Okay. Now, I'm not against computers and computer games. Lord knows I get lost playing Assassin's Creed and Skyrim on occasion. Way too frequent on occasion. Okay. But while I'm doing that, I'm also putting this on, getting rid of all the clutter in my house, and I've got 8, almost 9 books, soon to be 11, in print. Okay, because they're all coming out in paperback and on PDF. Thanks very much to Storm for this. Okay, I just talked to Storm today, just before we came on air. I have another book that's already 3/4 written. How to make money, and more. And the reason I bring that up is this. Everything we've been doing has been geared towards keeping other people happy, other people wealthy. None of it, to speak of, has been geared towards helping you get your feet on the ground. Okay? And this is the thing that has to change, in my opinion. Now, I can beak off about it, and I can sit on my bed, and I can go, I'm just going to play a computer game and ignore the world because I did my part. That's not my part. Yes, it's part of it. Okay, it really does boil down to an issue of in my opinion, I've got to get this message out to people. The unfortunate part is it seems to be a question of I've got to get mad for it to happen. Well, those of you that were here last night saw what happens when I get agitated. Okay, computers don't have a good day. I did manage to avoid the heart attack, thanks very much. But if life does not evolve, if society does not evolve, then society will stagnate. Life will stagnate. And here's the kicker. Life that was really bad. Life that does not evolve stagnates and dies because it doesn't adapt. And if we don't adapt to the current situation, we are going to have the same problem with society. Okay. Now, I don't know about you. I don't do well in the woods. So, society collapsing doesn't work well for me. Okay. The sad part is to turn this around, we are likely looking at a good 100 years, meaning your newborn children may well be able to deal with some of this. But the odds of you seeing the real changes, not good. Okay. I'm already living on shall we say, adjusted time. But the reality is, if we keep going down the same path we're on, society stagnates completely. And Lord help the world if it all of a sudden buckles. Okay, if we all of a sudden end up with a massive EMP pulse. Okay, because most of that collective knowledge is now on computer. Most of the people that put it there are deceased. Okay, you have that kind of an impact, and all of a sudden, these so called third world countries, by the way, still first world, they're on this one. But all of a sudden, they're the ones that are going to be standing on top of the world because they're the ones that know how to function. And I'm going to pop a bubble for you. Okay. We have a cash society. Everybody says, let's go cashless. It's not going to happen. Here's why. There are a lot of countries out there that are way behind in technology levels compared to Greater Europe, Greater Asia, and North and South America. Okay, you've got a lot of communities that are interacting that they still rely on cash. And if you wipe out cash, all of a sudden that entire economic superstructure that you've got that you're living with collapses completely. So for those of you thinking a cashless society is going to happen, in one sense, it will go cashless for interstellar work, for interplanetary work. It's got to be done on a digital base because there ain't no way we're moving that much gold bullion off planet. These are just some of the things we got to look at, but we got to get back to the basics here. Now, and I'm going to show you that one day. One of the things that I look at where it comes to stagnation, people are being taught to be irresponsible and to be, well, frankly, short-sighted. That's what's being taught in school today. And why do I say that? None of the schools teach life lessons and life skills anymore. Half the parents don't know the life skills. Okay, and we're not being encouraged to figure them out. Everybody's looking at how can we change this to make it faster, to make it work more quickly. Quick isn't necessarily a good idea. Okay, I don't know about you, but I find if you're doing things too fast, you miss the details. And as the saying goes, the devil's in the details. Meaning, you don't catch the details of what's going on and the minor changes, you're going to shatter your life. Not a doom and not a this is not a pessimistic outlook. This is reality. If you don't pay attention to the foundation that you're putting under a building, that building will collapse. Now, we go back in Italy, back to, I think, the 1300s, but I probably got the date wrong, when they built the Tower of Pisa. Okay, they didn't have the knowledge about geological configurations under the surface. So when they built the tower, it sank on one side. When the next guys came to build the next section, my recollection is there were 3 sections that were built, and they were literally a couple of 100 years apart. So every time they went to build a new section, they stacked and they built up the one side to make it level again. But they did that because of true ignorance. They didn't have the knowledge. Today, mankind, especially in the Western world, has the knowledge of what's under the ground. Now, there's a reason the saying goes, don't build your castle on a beach, unless it's a sandcastle. In case you hadn't noticed, tide comes in, sandcastle's hooped. Now, yes, I'm talking about all this stuff that's going on. What I'm not telling you is we cannot change it. I'm telling you flat out we can. But it's going to take work. It's going to take effort. It's going to take time. And if you're going to sit back and pray that somebody else is going to fix it, that's the same thing as sitting on your hands and going, I don't know what happened. I'm looking at it going, there's three types of people out there. 1% make things happen. You get to pick which one of these three groups you fit in. About 4% watch what happens. But half of those, participate. They get up and take a hint and start doing things. But about 95% of the population sit back and wonder what happened. Okay, now I've sat back and watched the world go. I really have. And I'm absolutely appalled by the amount it has dropped. It is stagnating to a bizarre level. Okay. When you've got people that go, I want to get paid $60 an hour and I don't want to get off my couch. Okay. When you get people being taught that's the right way to do it. Okay. And then get ticked off because it's not the way reality works. Okay. This is a problem in education. But I'm not talking about the pedagogue system. I'm not talking about your schools. I'm talking about what parents are teaching kids. And what some bleeding heart genius came out and said, oh, your child has the right to make their own decision. Right, certainly. But do they have the wisdom to make said decision? Now, it used to be that, and I held by this for decades, that the two most wasted commodities are in existence are the wisdom of the seniors and the enthusiasm of the youngsters. Now, I still see the enthusiasm of the youngsters, but unfortunately, what I'm seeing of so many people my age and older. Now, I'm about to be 62. And yes, I do see a lot of people my age that I swear they a lot, but that they sit there and go, I'm not dealing with this. Somebody else can fix it. That ain't the way this works because you're not teaching people how to fix it. Okay. And turning around and going, somebody out there is going to come down and fix your world. Good luck with that. Just ask yourself who put your socks on in the morning. So we can continue letting society go the way it is. Let it stagnate, let it collapse. Absolutely. Okay. And we are going to talk about a number of things. Problem is, we're only reaching, as we figured out, about 40,000 people. Now, 40,000 people is a drop in the bucket when we look at 8 billion. Okay. Now, my son told me years ago, he told me flat out, he wished that he had listened to me when I gave him a piece of advice. Okay. And he told me, he says, the problem is every single person I talked to, except you, said the same thing. He goes, Dad, they were wrong. Now, I am not the best person. I'm not the brightest person on the planet. I'm certainly not the most well-spoken. Primarily because I'm not about to tell you, oh, by the way, I'm perfect. Just listen to what I'm telling you because I got all the answers. If I had all the answers, rest assured I wouldn't be on this planet. I wouldn't be dealing with teeth that were collapsing. And I sure wouldn't be dealing with a heart that stopped every other day just because it was bored. But with that in mind, and I have toyed with the idea. I put the magazine out for free. I have toyed with the idea of charging for it. I'm not stupid enough to. Okay, one of the things that we have to realize with this is the path that society is on right now has already stalled. Okay, Yes, we're getting new technologies that do things quicker, faster, and more stupidly. Okay, you take a look at it. This calculator, thank you very much, Storm. This calculator is 50 years old and still running. Okay, now the computers of today, if they make 5 years, die. Now, I don't know about you, but this doesn't seem like it's working well. Okay, and unfortunately, all of society, and when I say all of it, I mean around the world. Okay, now, the so called third world countries, they seem to have an idea. They're not materialistic and they seem happier than the societies that have a whole pile of toys. Okay, this is just the way it works. Don't take my word for it, do your own research. Okay, I've taken a look in the mirror and I found myself wanting. And not wanting, that's the wrong word. I have found myself with some severe problems that I am now altering because I'm no longer content to sit back and leave them that way. Question is, are you stuck enough on your being better than other people? Are you stuck well enough in that to continue sitting on your backside waiting for somebody else to change the way the world is working? Or are you ready to get up and alter your own life path under your own definition, under your own power? Okay, but do this in conjunction with working inside society. Okay, you've got to follow the laws of the land in which you are. Absolutely, you do. Okay, but you've got to decide, are you going to keep doing things the way you're doing them? Because my bet is it's not working that well. So many people I talk to go, my life is not changing. I'm stuck in a rut. I don't know what to do with it. Well, this is why I put the rush on this new booklet coming out. And it is only, well, it's actually less than 20 pages long. Okay, but the tools themselves are simple and they will put you on track. Okay, if you start doing the work, do not rely on me to go, I'm going to change your world. I will absolutely give you the tools if you ask. Absolutely, I will. Okay, I will give you the answers that I can. But ultimately, it boils down to this. We as a society, never mind a race, never mind a species. A society, by the way, in my eyes, involves the animals, the man, the people, the plants, the minerals. All of this is what makes up society. Because let's face it, you like your house. I'd lay odds on it. You like the fact that you got running water, that you got electricity. Did you realize if somebody didn't figure out how to make those things happen, you'd still be trying to live on the land? You'd still be looking for some sort of shelter while you got rained on. Okay, society, technology does have benefits, but we've got to start using our brain. Okay, and we've got to start acting on that which we know is not working. Society has already stalled and is finding new and exciting ways to break. How many different ways can we separate people into smaller groups? Okay, how many different things can you find that make you better than somebody else or worse than somebody else? Now, I fought depression for years. Okay, and there was a point where I looked at it and went, why fight it? Just get depressed and stay that way. It's a whole lot of it, a whole lot less effort. But I came to the conclusion, if I'm going to keep going, since clearly I'm not allowed to die anytime soon, my body seems to have a bizarre idea on that one. But I figured I better get a handle on things and go, okay, what am I going to do to make my world work better? And I mean my world as in we start with this office. You'll notice the shelves behind me are starting to clear out. Not because I asked them to, not because I prayed they were going to change, not because I relied on some governor or some politician to come in and clean my house. Because I went, I'm not keeping it this way anymore. It's no longer part of my reality. I don't like it. So I'm getting off my backside and I'm doing it. It's time for you to make the same kind of decision. Now, you can live your life the way you will, but understand if you're not going to make a change, then you frankly don't have much room to complain because you're choosing to leave your life in the mess it's in. It's the same thing I hold out when it comes to voting. Think what you will of the political system. If you do not vote, you don't have much room to complain that the people in office aren't doing what they should be because you didn't put your 2 cents in. Now, I agree with you. Many times, the way the political system is set up, it does seem pointless. It does seem that the people with money are the ones paying to get people in. But this is because mankind, on the whole, is letting this happen. Okay, people are not saying anything anymore in order to say, hey, this is a problem. Like, how many people do you know of that literally have gone to a leader of a spiritual group, asked them when they're going to start doing what they talk about? I went to a bank manager and told him point blank that what he called a savings account, what his bank called a savings account, was a load of bupkis. Okay, it was absolute garbage. Then I turned around and proved to him why. Net result, we ended up with a bank account in the bank that works. Okay, now I am not better than any of you. Little more outspoken, certainly a whole lot more temperamental. But the question is, are you ready to start getting your life to evolve? You start evolving your, yes, some of the people around you that you've known for years won't adjust and they will end up going by the wayside. And then you'll meet other people that are doing exactly the same thing you are, altering their life for what they consider the better. Now, I will tell you this. There's a lot of really good talk shows out there, a lot of good podcasts that will tell you how to be successful, what success is. I'm telling you one little detail. None of them that I've looked at actually help you understand your idea of success or what you can do to make your life feel better in your eyes. Almost all of these people will tell you this is what success is. This is what has to change. And I'm telling you, that's a misnomer. Okay, I'm putting together information to help you figure out for yourself what you consider viable. Okay, these are just some of the things that have to come out. Okay, and I'm looking at it going, I really do appreciate the ones of you that are here at night while I'm here. Okay, because the fact of the matter is, I can talk to myself without video. Okay, and Lord knows I spend a lot of time doing so. I really don't have to meet people. Okay, I've really come to that conclusion. But the fact that even this number of people show up, okay, is extremely encouraging from my standpoint. And Storm, thank you very much for that. Now, of course, I wrote it down and buried it. But Storm had just let us know that we are down to the 5-minute mark. So, while I'm trying to do something here, where am I? That book goes out of the way. and I require this. Tomorrow, which is tomorrow Sunday. So, what are we looking at here? Good question.
Tomorrow is Meet the Reptilians.
Perfect. Oh, of course, tomorrow's Sunday.
Yep.
Oh, I'm looking over on Saturday trying to figure out what I'm doing. Tomorrow we are going to look at the reptilians. Okay. And there is a lot more than one of them. But we're going to take an overview of those. Okay. And the nice part about it is this is just the way that we're going to work. There's a lot more coming up. I'll have to get it posted here. But we are down under the 5-minute mark. So I do want to say thank you so much for sharing your time with us tonight. Really appreciate it. We will be back again tomorrow at 9 p.m. Pacific. But until then, do take care of yourself.